Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally. Want you guys to know, listen, I know the interview process can be a little jarring at times, but I want to remind you of a couple things that would love for you to know before you go into that interview. There's a couple things that you would need to know and do during the interview, and two things you would need to do after the interview to stand out amongst the other candidates. I know you've probably heard this in different places before, but I want to make sure that you have the tools you need to make this as make this a more pleasant and more rewarding experience than it is jarring. So before the interview, there's a couple things I want to make sure that you're asking. Number one, if it's an in-person interview or if it's even a phone interview, ask for the names of every person that you'll be interviewing with within that interview space. They may or may not tell you. Most of the time, they will if you ask for the full name and possible titles. That way, you can have time before the interview to research them, to be able to, LinkedIn is a beautiful thing. Um, to research them to see what they're about, and to be able to understand what their function and what their role is in that particular company. Another thing you would want to ask before the interview is, excuse me, what to expect as far as what is the you for most interviews the dress code is usually formal or business, business attire. However, there are some positions where working boots and overalls is the dress code needed, depending on if you're going into the industrial or fields like plumbing or electrician and things of that nature. However, if you're going into any other field, usually it's business attire, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Those are just a couple of things. Excuse me, guys. I'm experiencing another cold. I got over one a couple weeks ago, and another one came back with a vengeance. So forgive me, but I want to make sure that you guys get this. So before the interview, you want to find out those few things. There's other things that we go through that I go through in my resource. So the audio series that I have, you can grab that at mentorshelley.com/services/interview-help. I go through 7 key things that you'll need to have in place before the interview to make sure that you're fully prepared for what is coming for the interview, whether it's in person or over the phone or via web chat, video chat, whatever way they're doing the interview these days. Or you can do video response answers. I've done one of those before. It's very interesting. The feedback and response time is very interesting. I'll just put it that way. Now, 2 things you can do during the interview to make sure that you stand out. There's a couple of questions. There's several questions that I go through with you when we go through interview coaching, but I want to make sure that I mention at least 2 in this video. During the interview, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, as well as they're going to be asking you a lot of questions too. Be prepared to answer them. There's a few videos that you can find on the. I actually have a running playlist of interview tips and interview techniques where there are some of the sample questions that I've put together so you guys can find more information on how to get ready for an interview. But during the interview, you want to ask a couple of these questions. One, not just for the professional acumen or the professional piece of what they're looking for that particular career. You should ask a different question. What personality type do you think would fit best with this particular position? That will give you an idea and give you a sense of what personality type you're looking for, how they feel it would be best, excuse me, how would they feel that position would function, and what type of person would be well suited for it, not just skill wise, but personality wise as well. So it's important to ask that question. It's also important to ask the question if this was a newly developed position or if it's a position that that a person recently got terminated from, or was there changes made in the department or in the organization to either create the position or to get rid of the position, or the person that was in the position voluntarily left the company. It's important to find that out. That way, you know if they terminated somebody out of that position, and also if they're looking for something different for that position. That'll kind of clear up, so that'll help you to ask follow-up questions. If it's a position where they terminated someone, then you can ask questions, or if they're willing to share it with you, what were some of the things, what were some of the things that caused you to make that decision. Some employers will tell you, some employers won't. What it will do is give you an idea of what they're not looking for in that position. So, what type of person they're looking for, barring the skills and the knowledge base necessary for that position. They may be looking for a particular, excuse me, personality trait as well. So it's important to make sure that you ask a couple of those questions. Those are very key questions. They may not give you the information, because I've been in an interview before where I asked that question and they were like, well, we don't want to discuss that. They got real touchy about it. Every employer is different. You won't know until you ask. So I say go for it. After the interview, what you want to do is make sure that you're following up not once, not twice, but at least 3 times, giving the employer the impression that, number one, you are interested in the position. Number two, that you want to give them some time to make some decisions. But one of the things that you want to ask even before you get out of during the interview is, what kind of time frame can I expect to hear from you once you've made your decision, or what are the next steps in your process in hiring? So after the interview, you're going to follow up once. Of course, you're going to send them a thank you letter and a thank you card. Do both with everybody that you had a chance to interact with. Ask for business cards if you don't have them. At least do your best to send a postcard of some kind to everybody that you interviewed with, or you had conversations with. And after that, you want to follow up with them again to make sure that, one, they don't forget you, and two, if there's an issue with follow-up on their end, they at least know that you will follow up on your end and you're doing your part. So those are just some of the things. Those are just the 2 things you must do before, during, and after an interview to stand out. And of course, I do also offer interview coaching if you want to get more, I delve into the details with you and you work with me one-on-one. You can do that by going to mentorshelley.com/services/interview sessions, where we delve deep into not just 2 or 3 questions, but we set up the whole situation to make sure that you're fully prepared before, during, and after the interview. So you will give yourself a much better chance of garnering the employment opportunities that you truly desire. All right, guys, take care. And of course, this is Mentor Shelley. If you find this helpful, definitely share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel or Instagram, depending on where you're watching this video. All right, guys, take care. You have a good one. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally as you knock them dead in your next interview to get the job that you want. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye.